One of the players rushed to attack, and upon noticing the monster's paw above him, he quickly stepped back and stabbed it into its body, causing the rabbit to fall dead. Hansung noted that they had been fighting it longer than he expected they had. Spent minutes on one rabbit, everyone needed to deal with the monsters faster. In about minutes, he noticed two men resting nearby. They were security personnel from the Players Association. They looked like they were just going about their business, and he wondered if they would really care if a group of players were wiped out. He opened his status window and thought that this would be enough for a solo player, then went invisible and went further into the dungeon. Soon a group of players appeared. In the cave, two of them said that they did a good job, and their group leader and Su Guild member Lee Sui agreed with them. Kim Ji-Soo, also from the guild, enthusiastically suggested that she go further, saying thought it would definitely appear soon. Sui hoped for it, and another team member said that they should catch it alive. Atal, his friend, agreed with him, and Zushu just smiled in response, and Sui wished them good luck. The guy told her not to worry. They would definitely have enough strength. And then she turned to them and asked, did anyone doubt it? The problem is that the monster does not come out. Realizing that she was upset, he immediately apologized to her, and Jesu told her friend not to worry. They would show up in a few days, and she reminded her that days had already passed. She couldn't believe that the fourth requirement was a horned rabbit. Scratched her head in confusion and said that the monster wasn't that difficult, but they still hadn't managed to complete the quest. It seemed to just hide in this dungeon. Already starting to lose her patience, she got angry and swore that she would kill this rabbit in a second, just let it show up, after which she suggested her friend to move on, but before that they used the stealth skill. Meanwhile, MC was nearby. He was practicing hunting rabbits. The girls passed by several monsters, and Ji-Soo asked if she heard any sounds. She told her that it was probably the commander of the third team, and the youngest off second. But before she could speak, a guy appeared in front. It was Hansen. Suhi told the girl not to pay attention, but she was already too interested in him, and said with delight that it seemed like he came here alone, or maybe he lost his partner. Her friend remained silent and looked at the guy more closely, noticing that he didn't have a scratch on him. She told her that it was unlikely, plus he used the stealth skill, but still Ji-Soo was curious why he was alone, and the girl said that she didn't know. She noticed something, and her eyes immediately widened. She saw the logo on his armor, and realized that he was wearing rented equipment. Apparently he was a newbie. The girls were upset, began to wonder why he came here, and were sure that a newbie would not have come here alone. Maybe he came Alanido, fight monsters on a bet. In the meantime, he took out his sword and headed towards the rabbit, and one of the girls said that even with a bunch of useful skills, you need to be above level to kill a monster of this type in one blow. But to their surprise, he easily dealt with the rabbit, and they both lost the power of speech. Sighing heavily, Helen on his sword, and felt a slight tremor in his body. He felt sorry for this rabbit, and he mentally apologized to it for killing it. But he is also in a hopeless situation. He must adapt for the sake of his family. After waiting a few scans, he again noticed that nothing dropped from the rabbit, but he was not upset, and again used the stealth skill to deal with the rest of the monsters, delivering a lightning strike to the rabbit from behind. He quickly finished it off, and waited for the loot to drop, but nothing happened. Then he went invisible again, and Ji-Soo, watching him, doubted, and asked her friend, isn't he a newbie? Not waiting for an answer, she called out to her, but she still to remain silent and watch this guy. There is a low rule. If the player's level is lower than the monsters, then the latter will drop items and the player will receive experience, but experience and items cannot be obtained from a monster that is levels lower than the player. The magic contained in corpses turns into valuable times. But alas, the higher the player's level, the worse the dropped items will be, and of course, when the difference of levels is reached, there will be no loot at all. When MC once again dealt with the monsters, Sui noticed how Hishins were shaking, and said with a grin that this was this guy's first hunt. Ji-Soo asked what she thought his class was, smiled and told her that she wasn't sure, and suggested that she'll watch him for a little while longer. After all, she had nothing to do at home anyway at this time. Hanning entered the fight again. He wounded the rabbit, and then pierced its body with a lightning strike. Finally, what he had been waiting for so long happened. A blue crystal fell out of Therabit. It turns out that he had already collected 5 of them, including this one, but he felt uneasy about how to coat It was for him to level up even if he hunts solo given how many he had killed. This should have been an auto raise at least to level 2, but it seemed to him that his experience points were not growing at all. He decided to continue, and even thought that within the next hour, he would completely clear this dungeon hours. Past he killed a lot of rabbits and checked the status window again. His level still had not increased. This made him think that the usual level increases in a day or two. Then an idea came to him. He continued to destroy the poor rabbit sand. The girls were nearby all this time and watched his failures. Completely disappointed, he sat down on the ground and thought that this was the end. Over the past days, he earned million points for selling electronics endpoints here for selling the body of one of the monsters. He scratched the back of his head in confusion and told himself to think positively. This was just the beginning. At that moment, a rabbit snuck up on him from behind, but he quit it, and with just one swing of his sword, finished it off. The hunt continued. The rest of the rabbits began to gather around him and the monster's corpse, and he, preparing for battle, swung his sword several times, cutting off their heads. When he slowed down for a second, the rabbit pounced on him from behind and let out a menacing roar, and without even turning around quickly dealt with it. After that, a system window appeared congratulating him on his new achievement. He single-handedly killed high-ranking horned rabbits and received the common ranking title, O Horned Rabbit Hunter. In order to understand this better, he walked over to the wall and opened the system window, went to the title section, and thought that he had seen something like this on the internet before. When you get special achievements, your stats go up. Panyan can get this achievement. The only problem is that usually everyone levels up long before killing rabbits. This is pretty good. He can grow to a rare rank. While he was thinking about this, Suhi was watching him, and for some reason laughed. She found him interesting. He killed the horned rabbit with one blow. If he did it once or twice, she would have called it luck, but no such luck. He immediately cut off the heads of those monsters with one swing of his sword. Deciding to intervene, she headed towards Hyacinth, who was just now sorting through the crystals in his bag, and called out to him. He was very surprised that there were players here besides. Hyman immediately noticed their high-level equipment and thought, who are these girls? Noticing his doubts, Ju smiled and told him not to worry. They were from the security service, and then he asked what was the matter. He thought that all employees were staying at the entrance, but for some reason they were wandering around here. He didn't notice Etham, and they didn't have employee badges. Jisoo hesitantly told him that they had just returned from a mission to protect the gate. He probably didn't notice them because of their concealment skill. They used it to avoid the attention of the horned rabbits. He doubted her words and noticed that he couldn't even hear them. Breathing what kind of concealment was that? Jisoo smiled and said that she accidentally noticed him hunting. His outstanding ability attracted their attention, and now she was wondering what his level was. He became nervous and thought that his level was still 1. But his stats totaled it was no good that they noticed him. He decided to remain silent, and so he said that they wanted to pass by, but she was curious about something. When she said that she was from the Sue Guild, he was surprised, and she continued, there is a big company in Korea that everyone knows about. Sue Group, their guild. Sue is sponsored by this company. If he reveals his abilities, then she will gladly help him join their guild. He kept silent and thought that things were bad. He should be more careful with these ladies, because there is a punishment base, of which he will not be able to level up in the future. The first level player defeated the rabbit, having only good stats, but what should he do if he beats monsters but still has no experience? Even realizing that they could help him solve the problem, he is forced to refuse. He apologized to the girls, saying that he is not interested. Was about to leave, but Sui caught up with him and abruptly jumped out in front of him, blocking his way. She looked into his face and asked doubtfully, maybe he does not know about the Sue Guild. He smiled nervously and told her thought he knew it, and then she asked in confusion why he refused. He thoughtfully rubbed his chin, and after a short pause told her that he wanted to try to cope alone. For now he did not feel the need for comrades. She was very surprised, and asked if he, by any chance, had a contract with other guilds. He denied it, and said again that he would like to hunt alone. And noticing they were silent, he thought that he seemed to have convinced them. He smiled and asked them to let him go. But before that, the girl handed him a business card and said that if he later decided to join the guild, he should contact them, even if he only had skills, and nothing more. It would not be a hindrance for them. He took it and left, saying at last that he would think about it, and Sui suggested that they walk to the exit together, that way he could avoid trouble. He still refused, and went on, and she threw after him that he was rude, but decided not to dwell on him. Her friend supported her, and said that he would definitely regret it later, and she agreed with her, and suggested that she quickly get out of there since she was tired of sitting around doing nothing. When MC returned to the village, he realized that he needed to be careful. There were a lot of players here, and they were stronger than normal people. He turned around to check if they had come out, but did not see any familiar faces. After that, he caught a taxi, and when the driver asked where they were going, he sighed heavily and suggested that they set off first. While they were driving, found information about the Blood Fox dungeon on the internet, and asked the driver to go there, and he smiled, asking, "It seems he just finished a mission in the Horned Rabbit dungeon." He congratulated him on this, and said that had driven many players, so he knew the way well. Hunan only smiled awkwardly in response, but he didn't listen to Hishitor any further. Instead, he opened the status window and looked at his level, doubting whether he would be able to clear other dungeons at all. Soon he found himself at his destination. The village had the same atmosphere as the Horned Rabbit dungeon. He walked to the entrance, and the man, before giving him a pass, asked where the other team members were, to which he replied that he would go alone. They let him through without any problems, and he went inside. There was just a group of players who began to surround the fox like in the first dungeon. Hinsung decided to observe at first, and then looked at the guards and saw that they were sleeping. He was happy and used the hide skill. Having found several monsters, he took out his sword and with a confident smile rushed to attack at the same time, checking the system notifications, so he figured out that he could get around points. For one fox, he grabbed the sword with both hands and swung it again, cutting off the enemy's head before stopping, leaving two headless corpses behind him. He noticed that something ahead, a pack of foxes, was slowly approaching him, and he wondered if it was time for him to start a real hunt. Hours later, he had dealt with foxes and finally finished off the Threseving, an incredible achievement. For this, he had single-handedly killed high-level monsters and was therefore awarded the title of Blood Fox Hunter, and this did not surprise him at all, because this was what he was aiming for. After that, he opened the status window. This time his strength increased by 1 point. Apparently everything depends on the title. He raised his sword and turned to face the huge pack of monsters, and meeting the fox's gaze, decided to conduct a small experiment. Hours passed. He thrust his sword into the ground and leaned on it to rest from the hard battle, after which there was a small pile of corpses. Now he had a new achievement of a rare class. He single-handedly killed high-level monsters, and for this he received the title of Blood Fox Slayer. He was glad that the title had gone up in level, and checked the status window. His strength stat had increased by 1 again. The new title increases his strength by 2, and it is also possible to grow to the epic rank. He was glad that everything does not end at the rare rank, and decided to take a little rest. He decided to come here tomorrow, and while he was collecting the crystals dropped by monsters, he found a skill book. This is a passive skill book that makes bones, brain, and skin stronger. The skill has already been learned. He cannot relearn it. He was slightly surprised and thought that if he knew that he could get this, he would not have bought anything. He took a rare passive skill book that reduces magic consumption by % from the store, and then headed to the exit. As soon as he exited the portal, he went to the checkout counter, and the association employee asked him to put the gems and other items he received into the basket one. He put everything away. The man started checking it and was very surprised that he earned so many gems and got a rare skill book. There had never been a book of this level here before. MC took his things and asked with a smile, "There is nothing strange about this, right?" After that, he went to the association to hand over the received items for sale. The association employee told him that he would get for all the gems, and when the books are sold, he will contact him. After that, he headed to the exit, thinking that at this rate he can earn about $1 million a day. After all, players are the best returning tough entrants of the dungeon. He sat down on a bench nearby to have a snack, and thought that he should look for a room in the nearest hotel, otherwise it would take too long to get here from home. Having dusted off his hands, he got up and resolutely headed towards the entrance of the dungeon, determined that today he would definitely pump up his rank soon. Another battle began from which he again emerged. Victorious, he stopped to calm his breathing and assist him. Notification appeared in front of him that he had received a heroic achievement. He single-handedly killed monsters and received the title of Blood Fox Slayer. He was very happy about this, and at the same moment, a new notification popped up. He was the first to reach the heroic rank for this. He receives the title. He was slightly surprised by this, and realized that besides him, there were other people. Ho had reached the rare rank, but he was the first to reach the heroic. He scratched his head in confusion. He actually achieved this by accident, but it was still good now. He needed to check his stats. In general, his stats had increased by his title of first to reach heroic rank. Helped him with this. It increased all his stats by he thought that being the first in something was so cool, and checked what the title of Bloodslayer gave him. It increased his strength by 4, and it was also possible to advance to the legendary rank. He said that this was also incredible, and looked closely at the words about rank increase, and decided to also become the first to receive the legendary rank. But that's enough for today. Since he was very tired, he decided to come back here tomorrow. So days passed all this time. He spent the night in a motel near the dungeon, and had breakfast on the way. There it was time for another hunt. He cut off the heads of monsters, and a system notification popped up because he killed monsters single-handedly. He received the legendary title of Blood Fox Executioner. He is the first to reach the legendary rank, so he is entitled to the corresponding title. Finally, he could breathe a sigh of relief. He immediately threw down his sword and sat on the ground tiredly, saying that it was so hard for him. He thought he would die, but it was still possible. Opening the status window, he found a large increase in all stats. The achievement, the first to reach the legendary rank, increases all his characteristics by units. This made him laugh and smile, saying that this is really incredible. After which he checked it. Title for killing monsters, which increases strength by 8, but unfortunately does not increase in rank anymore. This did not upset him much, but still he could get more benefit from it. He headed to the exit of the dungeon, hid sword in its sheath, and the thought came to his mind that there are still a lot of places to hunt where he can make good money. He returned to the dungeon of the Horned Rabbit and began another clearing of monsters. Having dealt with own monster, he took a deep breath and prepared himself for the attack of the second, which pounced on him. From behind, having plunged the sword into its head, he threw it against the wall, and thought that he could handle them with his bare hands. Having looked at his bag, he decided to finish slowly, after which he returned to the motel. A message from the players trading house came to his phone. All the goods registered at the auction were sold. The amount is large, so he can only pick it up in person since he needs to go there anyway, and this is the day when money will flow to him like a river. Decided not to put it off for long, and went to the association. The girl at the reception asked him to check the amount and sign, and he, having taken the check, was very surprised, and his hands trembled with rage. The price of the goods was high, but the tax reduced it almost by half. He held back his anger and thought that this was daylight robbery. But this kind of money was definitely worth it, rather than selling skills for points. He went home thinking that he should hunt even harder in the dungeons. He earned $1 million with just stones in less than days. In total, heckled, earned $1 million a month. The points were accumulating well enough. At this rate, he would be able to buy Thelixir faster than he planned. He came to the bus stop. Looking at his reflection in the glass, he noticed that he had depotted himself clothes since his father got sick. He couldn't afford it like his mother and sister. When the bus pulled up toward the stop, he went inside and smiled, deciding to fix this problem today. It was evening as soon as struck his mother finished work at the factory, but she still couldn't breathe a sigh of relief, since it was not the end of her working day. She said goodbye to her colleagues and walked forward down the street, and Hinsung appeared behind her. Hearing her son's voice, she turned around in surprise, and he happily waved his hand at her, after which he hugged her and asked when she managed to lose so much weight. She asked why he came, to which he replied that he was here. Tommy Tur. These words caused another smile on her, and she noticed that he had grown so much she did not even notice. He walked on together, and she asked if he had had dinner. He answered her that he had not yet. He wanted to do it with her. For some reason she became upset, and with a serious expression on her face, said his name, after which she put her hand in her pocket and said that she could not go home now. She needed to go to work in the cafeteria. She put the money in his hand and told him to go alone and order some noodles for himself, and that tomorrow morning she would maki him a delicious breakfast. He said that she herself had not had dinner yet since they both hadn't eaten. Maybe they should have dinner together, she smiled. Guilty and told him that she could eat at work in the canteen, so he should go home. First he smiled and offered to help her, but she refused, because she knew that he was tired too. He looked at her for a second, thinking about something, and then said, seriously, that he actually wanted to tell her something, which was why he had come. She turned a questioning look at him, and he said with a smile that he had awakened.